Imagine this. You are standing at the crossroads of the clean transportation revolution. You want to be part of it. Maybe for the environment, maybe for savings, or maybe for both. Yet, the sticker shock of a brand new electric vehicle gleaming on the showroom floor makes you hesitate. So, you turn your gaze to the used market. Suddenly you see electric vehicles, once the preserve of the eco-conscious elite, now available at prices that seem almost too good to be true. But what is really going on? Why are used electric vehicles so much cheaper than expected? And what does this mean not just for buyers, but for the future of mobility, business, and even the planet itself? Let us rewind a decade. Back then, electric vehicles were rare on roads across Europe and especially in the United Kingdom. Policymakers wanted to jumpstart the electric transition, so they poured billions of pounds into incentives for new electric vehicles. Manufacturers received subsidies, tax breaks were given to early adopters, and environmental campaigns filled the airwaves. As a result, new electric vehicle sales soared. By the mid-2020s, electric vehicles made up a significant share of new car registrations in the United Kingdom, with government data showing that in June of 2025, new electric vehicle registrations increased by nearly 12% compared to the previous year. Yet, while all eyes were on new cars, the silent giant of the car industry, the used market, remained largely overlooked. But here is the critical fact. In the United Kingdom, the used car market is almost 4 times the size of the new car market. For every new car sold, there are nearly 4 used cars changing hands. This is not just a quirky statistic. It is the backbone of mobility for most households and small businesses. For families on a budget, students, retirees, and small business owners, the used market is the only realistic path to vehicle ownership. And as the world pushes for lower emissions, the used market is emerging as the front line in the battle for clean transport. A study by AutoTrader found that more than 2/3, specifically 68% of potential electric vehicle buyers in the United Kingdom are considering a used model. Why? Because affordability is king. The initial cost of a new electric vehicle is often out of reach for ordinary people, but used models, thanks to plummeting prices, are now within grasp. But why are these prices falling so dramatically? The data is eye-opening. According to the British Vehicle Rental and Leasing Association, the average value of a 3-year-old electric vehicle in the United Kingdom has collapsed by over half, specifically 52%, since 2021. For comparison, petrol and diesel models dropped by about 40% in the same period. That means if you bought an electric vehicle 3 years ago, it is now worth less than half of what you paid. This is not just a blip, it is a massive market shift, with ripple effects touching manufacturers, dealers, financiers, and drivers alike. Let us look beyond Britain. In Germany, used electric vehicle sales jumped by 15% in the first half of 2025, fueled by lower prices and growing inventory. France and Norway are taking bold steps, offering direct grants to help low-income families purchase second-hand electric vehicles. In Norway, a country known for its electric vehicle leadership, subsidies for used electric vehicles have helped bridge the gap for rural and urban drivers alike. The United Kingdom is starting to act, launching a £10 million pilot program to help local authorities support used electric vehicle adoption. But is this enough to move the needle? The drivers behind these falling prices are complex and intertwined. Toby Poston, chief executive of the British Vehicle Rental and Leasing Association, explains, "Low residual values increase the cost of financing and leasing new vehicles. This impacts all customers, especially consumers and small businesses, suppressing demand and eroding confidence across the electric vehicle ecosystem. When used electric vehicles lose value quickly, it becomes riskier for leasing companies and financiers to offer affordable deals on new ones. This creates a feedback loop. Lower confidence leads to lower demand, which pushes prices down further. For many buyers, one concern looms largest: the battery. An RAC Foundation survey found that nearly 3/4, 74% of drivers in the United Kingdom are worried about how long a used electric vehicle battery will last and what it might cost to replace. The battery is the heart of an electric vehicle, and its health determines performance, range, and resale value. If the battery fails, replacement can cost thousands of pounds, making or breaking the value of a used car. Dr. Ewan McTurk, a battery expert from Plug Life Consulting, is clear. Standardized battery health testing is essential to provide transparency and build trust in used electric vehicles. Without reliable information about a battery's remaining life, buyers are left guessing, and often choosing not to buy. Infrastructure is another obstacle. Ben Nelms, head of policy at New Automotive, points out the VAT disparity between home and public charging, which makes it more expensive for those without private driveways or garages to charge their cars. In many cases, people living in flats or terraced houses must rely on public chargers, which are subject to higher value-added tax rates than home electricity. This extra cost can tip the scales for budget-conscious buyers, making used electric vehicle ownership less appealing. Then there is the role of government action. While the United Kingdom has committed over £1 billion, specifically £1.4 billion in June of 2025, to support electric vehicle uptake, critics argue that the bulk of this funding still flows toward new vehicles and infrastructure, not directly to used car buyers. Ian Plummer, commercial director at AutoTrader, does not mince words. Affordability is the biggest barrier to electric vehicle adoption, and the used market offers a crucial pathway for many consumers. He and other industry leaders are calling for targeted grants, subsidies, and public information campaigns aimed specifically at the used electric vehicle sector. Why does all this matter? Because the stakes are higher than ever. The United Kingdom, and indeed the world, is racing toward ambitious climate targets. Achieving net zero carbon emissions by the middle of the century is not just a policy goal. It is a necessity if we are to avoid the worst consequences of climate change. Transport remains one of the largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions, and shifting the entire vehicle fleet toward electric is a cornerstone of national and international climate strategies. Yet there is a real danger that, unless the used electric vehicle market is fixed, these climate goals could slip out of reach. If used electric vehicles remain unattractive or unaffordable, older, more polluting petrol and diesel cars will remain on the road for longer. The average age of vehicles in the United Kingdom is already creeping up. Without a healthy used electric vehicle market, the transition to cleaner transport could stall, leaving millions behind and undermining years of progress. So what needs to happen? Experts and industry stakeholders have put forward a multi-pronged plan. First, direct purchase grants for used electric vehicles. Several European countries, such as France and Norway, already provide financial support to low- and middle-income households to buy second-hand electric vehicles. Extending this approach to the United Kingdom could open the door for millions who cannot afford new models. Second, standardized battery health certificates. Just as every vehicle in the United Kingdom requires an annual MOT test, used electric vehicles could be required to have a certified battery health assessment. This would provide transparency and reassurance to buyers, helping to overcome the single biggest barrier to adoption. Third, targeted investment in public charging infrastructure. This includes not just more chargers, but smarter policies to address cost disparities. For example, reducing VAT on public charging would make electric vehicle ownership more affordable for people without home charging options. It would also help eliminate a major source of inequality in the shift to electric transport. Fourth, public information campaigns. There is still a great deal of uncertainty and misinformation about electric vehicles, especially among those considering a used model for the first time. Education campaigns can help dispel myths, explain the real costs and benefits, and build confidence in the technology. Finally, support for battery refurbishment and recycling. As electric vehicles age, more batteries will need to be repaired, refurbished, or recycled. Investing in these industries not only supports the used market, but creates new jobs and reduces electronic waste. A win-win for the economy and the environment. Let us consider the potential outcomes. If these measures are implemented, the used electric vehicle market could see explosive growth. Experts project that, with the right support, used electric vehicle sales in the United Kingdom could increase by 30 to 40% within the next 5 years. That would mean millions more families, businesses, and communities driving electric, accelerating the nation's progress toward its climate goals, and reducing the average age of the national vehicle fleet. But if action is slow or fragmented, we could see the opposites. Battery concerns, patchy infrastructure, and confusing policies might leave used electric vehicles gathering dust on dealership lots. Affordability gaps could widen, and the promise of clean transport could remain out of reach for millions. The risk is not just economic, but social and environmental. Without a robust used market, the green transition could become a privilege for the few, rather than a right for all. There is also the possibility of disruptive innovation. Imagine, for example, a breakthrough in battery technology, a new chemistry that dramatically extends the lifespan of batteries or slashes replacement costs. Imagine governments and industry partners rolling out large-scale battery refurbishment programs, making it easy and affordable to swap out aging batteries for new or reconditioned ones. Suddenly, used electric vehicles become not just affordable, but dependable and long-lasting. This could spark a circular economy where batteries are reused, recycled, and kept in service for decades. New business models could emerge, from battery leasing to mobile charging services, creating jobs and driving economic growth. Globally, the used electric vehicle market is on the cusp of massive expansion. A recent Bloomberg NEF report projects that the global used electric vehicle market could reach $200 billion by the end of this decade. This growth will be driven by falling battery costs, improved technology, and a growing supply of used vehicles as today's new models age out of their first ownership cycles. Let us bring this back to the individual level. Suppose you are thinking about buying a used electric vehicle. What should you do? First, do your homework. Ask for a battery health certificate. Many dealers and independent garages now offer this service. Check the car's warranty. Some manufacturers provide extended coverage on batteries, which can be a valuable safety net. Use online tools and resources to assess the condition of the vehicle, its charging history, and its real-world range. Speak with previous owners if possible, and do not hesitate to ask tough questions about charging habits, maintenance records, and any previous battery work. For businesses, the used electric vehicle market opens up new possibilities for greening your fleet without breaking the bank. Many companies, from delivery services to tradespeople, are now exploring used electric vehicles for their cost savings and environmental benefits. With lower fuel and maintenance costs, used electric vehicles can pay for themselves over time. Government incentives, if targeted at the used market, could make the business case even stronger. For policymakers, the challenge is clear. Supporting the used electric vehicle market is not just about pushing inventory off dealership lots. It is about equity, economic opportunity, and environmental progress. Tanya Sinclair, Policy Director for ChargePoint in the United Kingdom, puts it plainly. Government support for used electric vehicles is critical to ensure equitable access to cleaner transportation for all. The call for action is growing louder. In July of 2025, a coalition of more than 30 companies, from vehicle leasing and rental firms to insurers, charging providers, and automakers, sent an open letter to the United Kingdom's Transport Secretary. Their message: urgent intervention is needed to support the used electric vehicle market. They advocated for targeted grants, skills investment, standardized battery health assessments, and a nationwide public information campaign. The link between the new and used markets is critical, they argue. If residual values for used electric vehicles continue to fall, the entire ecosystem, from new car sales to fleet management, could be destabilized. James Baggett, editor-in-chief of Car Dealer magazine, highlights another key point. Confidence in battery health is the key to unlocking the potential of the used electric vehicle market. Without this confidence, even the best incentives may fall short. Greg Archer, United Kingdom Director at Transport and Environment, emphasizes that extending purchase grants to used electric vehicles is the single most effective way to accelerate the transition to electric mobility. Ben Nelmis, from New Automotive, insists that addressing the cost disparity between home and public charging is vital to making used electric vehicle ownership accessible for all. Let us look at some real-life stories. In France, a single mother living in a small town was able to purchase a used electric vehicle thanks to a government grant covering half the cost. She now commutes to work and drops her children at school without worrying about fuel prices or emissions. In Norway, a retired couple who could not afford a new car found a second-hand electric vehicle with a certified battery health report. Their new vehicle runs smoothly, and public chargers are available even in their rural community. In Germany, small businesses are investing in fleets of used electric vans, benefiting from tax breaks and lower operating costs. These examples show what is possible when the right policies and support mechanisms are in place. What about the risks if nothing changes? If the used market remains neglected, the gap between the haves and have-nots could widen. Those who can afford new electric vehicles will benefit from clean, cheap transport, while everyone else is left with aging, polluting vehicles and higher running costs. This could deepen social inequalities and slow the march toward net zero. The environmental implications are profound. The longer old petrol and diesel cars remain in circulation, the greater the emissions of greenhouse gases and harmful pollutants. Urban air quality suffers, public health costs rise, and climate targets slip further out of reach. On the flip side, a thriving used electric vehicle market could unlock huge benefits. Lower emissions, cleaner air, reduced noise pollution, and significant savings for consumers. It could also spark a wave of innovation in battery recycling, refurbishment, and new business models. So what does the future hold? Several scenarios are possible. In an optimistic scenario, the government listens to industry and public calls, rolling out grants, standardizing battery health checks, and investing in charging infrastructure. Used electric vehicle sales surge, residual values stabilize, and confidence returns. The United Kingdom becomes a leader in inclusive, clean mobility. In a more pessimistic scenario, action is slow and fragmented. Used electric vehicles remain a niche choice. Adoption stalls, and the country falls behind its climate commitments. Social divisions widen, and the benefits of electrification are enjoyed by only a privileged few. And then, there is the disruptor. Technological innovation. If battery technology advances rapidly, or if large-scale battery refurbishment becomes the norm, the economics of used electric vehicles could shift overnight. Suddenly, the market is flooded with affordable, reliable options, and the transition accelerates beyond all expectations. For now, if you are weighing whether to go electric, this is a moment of both opportunity and caution. Falling prices mean unprecedented affordability, but due diligence is essential. Demand a battery health certificate, check for warranties, and stay updated on emerging grants or incentives. As Dr. Ewan McTurk reminds us, standardized battery health testing is essential to provide transparency and build trust in used electric vehicles. For policymakers and industry leaders, the message is clear. Do not overlook the used market. The road to net zero runs through the second-hand lot as much as the new car showroom. Equity, environmental progress, and consumer confidence all depend on getting this right. Here is a fact not often discussed. The used car market is almost 4 times larger than the new car market in the United Kingdom. If we seize this moment, the ripple effects could transform how millions of people experience clean, affordable transport. Not just those shopping for the latest models, but families, businesses, and communities everywhere. So, can the used electric vehicle market recover? The answer hinges on vision, investment, and collaboration. If the government delivers on its promises, if industry and policymakers work together to set standards and build consumer trust, and if innovation continues apace, recovery, and even robust growth are well within reach. The future of clean transportation depends not just on shiny new technology, but on making that technology accessible to everyone. The used electric vehicle market is where the electric revolution either succeeds or stalls. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Would you consider a used electric vehicle? Or do battery worries still hold you back? For more insights on the future of clean mobility,